Hi, everybody. Ron Placone here. On the morning show today, one of the things that we spoke about was an issue going on where a new bill has been proposed by Marsha Blackburn, a Republican in Tennessee. And what this legislation would do is this legislation would prohibit the FCC from being able to interfere with local and more community-based ISPs from being able to compete with the larger ISPs such as Comcast or something like that. They want to prohibit the FCC from being able to do that and allowing legislation to stay as it is. Now, it's interesting, something like this is coming up at a time where the net neutrality debate is so escalated, at a time where internet rights is a huge issue, at a time where businesses like Comcast and places like that are seeing an increased amount of frustration from the general public. Because what this bill does is it basically just makes sure that they'll have their kind of corporate near-monopolistic stronghold until. Because what happens is these large corporations, Comcast, places like that, they will lobby to local lawmakers and stuff like that to make sure that smaller ISPs, community-driven ISPs, have to stay within a certain area and basically can't compete with them. They'll lobby for that legislation to be in place. However, the FCC can then go and say, no, it's good for the free market if these people can all compete, so you need to let these smaller ISPs cohabitate. This legislation would prohibit the FCC from doing that. So it's very interesting when you see places like Comcast and the GOP and different institutions like that. They always preach about the free market this and free market that and free market this, but they'll only talk about the free market when it benefits them. When it's legislation that might hurt them, I mean, they're okay with legislation interference when it's legislation that prohibits a smaller ISP from competing with them. When that's the legislation in place, they're okay with that. That's good legislation. Those lobbying dollars are for the best interests. But when it's something like the FCC says, no, you have to let these smaller ISPs compete, you can't prohibit them from going into this area because that goes against the quote-unquote free market. Ooh, oh no, we cannot have that. Another interesting tidbit here, Tom Wheeler is actually on the side of the FCC being able to do that because that's a purpose the FCC should serve. They should kind of oversee the free flow of information and stuff like that. So it makes sense that they would be involved in a situation like that. So this is a really interesting issue. Another interesting thing that we pointed out on the show, the fact that Marsha Blackburn, am I getting her first name right? Yeah, Marsha Blackburn. The fact that she's the person that put this through is incredibly interesting because she's in Tennessee. Tennessee, of course, is the state where one of the towns in that state is Chattanooga. Chattanooga, Tennessee is the only place in the United States that has municipal internet, at least to the degree that they have it. I think there's other kind of pockets that are experimenting with something similar, but they're the largest and they're the biggest success story. The area of Chattanooga has the fastest internet in the country, and it's very affordable for the members of the community that use it. Now, this model could maybe take effect on a national level in time. Having these ISPs built locally, and there's networks that are dedicated to building these types of ISPs, it's out there, it's happening. And say we completely lose net neutrality and the Comcast of the world start price gouging the internet further, well, that may be our only solution to have a democratic internet and to have an accessible internet and to keep the internet a free and open publishing platform is to build those types of ISPs all around the country. Other countries have models similar to what Chattanooga has, and those are generally the countries that are doing better than the United States in terms of accessibility and price, and there's a lot of countries that are doing way better than the U.S. But this bill did go through the House. It was pretty much on party lines. It was 223 to 220. Pretty much all of the Democrats were against it. They said, no, you can't prohibit the FCC from allowing all these smaller ISPs to compete. Only 4 Republicans were against this. Pretty much all the Republicans were in favor of this. And this bill is pretty much just a gift wrap present to the Comcast of the world. There's no way, it has nothing to do with the free market. In fact, it's the total opposite. It's saying, well, you know, the Comcast, they've lobbied local lawmakers to prohibit these ISPs from leaving a certain place, the smaller ISPs. That's stifling innovation and stifling the spreading of local ISPs, and that's okay. That type of legislation and, quote, government interference, that's okay. But if it's something like the FCC, a larger agency, saying, no, you have to let these ISPs compete with one another, well, that's not okay, because that could hurt Comcast's bottom line, or a similar company's bottom line, AT&T and what have you. And this might affect Google Fiber down the road if Google Fiber spreads. So it's very interesting that this bill is out there. We'll see where it goes. It was approved in the House. It'll be interesting to see all this unfold, and a lot of kind of internet rights issues are kind of all coming to a head all at once here. But that is something that we brought up on the show today. Thank you for tuning in. This has been a summary from the Indie Bohemians Morning Show. This is a new format I'm kind of working with here, where we're kind of still in the trial stages of trying some new things out here, but I thank you for tuning in. Next week I will be on vacation, so I won't really have much going on next week. I'm actually working the Comedy Cabana in Myrtle Beach. So if any of you guys are in Myrtle Beach, come out to the Comedy Cabana, say hey. I'll be there Monday through Sunday. It's 7 nights, and but I'm going to treat the daytime as my vacation time. I'm not really going to be doing much. I'm going to try to relax a little bit, do some reading, do some writing, maybe spend some time at the beach. More on that, because I'll be updating on the summer reading project soon. But thank you for tuning in. This is Ron Placone signing out.